Welcome, Self-Made Nation, CEO, founder, business owners, to the Cash Rich Exit podcast. I'm Colleen O'Connell-Campbell, wealth advisor at RBC Dominion Securities and your host. Today, we're tackling the stubborn 2% problem, the tiny sliver of venture capital that flows to women founder companies, and how SheBoot is changing that trajectory. Joining us for a panel chat are the co-founders of SheBoot, Sonya Shorey, Jennifer Francis, and Julia Elvidge. We'll unpack what actually moves money, building investment-ready founders, mobilizing women angel investors, and forging real pathways from first paycheck to scaled outcomes. If you're thinking about today's funding decisions and how they shape your eventual exit, let's talk. Reach out for your private conversation with me. And of course, we'll want to look at your cash-rich exit. Well, welcome to the co-founders of SheBoot. We've got Jennifer, Julia, and Sonya. Thanks for being here.
Oh, it's great to be here. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Why don't we start with what is SheBoot? Who wants to share that genesis story of what your group is all about?
Sure, I'll start.
Sure.
SheBoot and really began in 2020 and with the idea that we weren't getting women showing up to some of the pitch fests that were going, and we wanted to see those women, and we weren't sure at that time immediately why. We knew of women, but it wasn't as easy to, they didn't have as much available to them. Anyways, Jennifer, Sonya and I got together and we started talking about what could happen. Luckily, Jennifer and I were both part of Capital Angel Networks. Jennifer is the chair of Capital Angel Network. And Sonya is now the CEO of Invest Ottawa, but back then I was involved in Invest Ottawa as well as Sonya. And it was just kind of nice to figure out how these co-founding organizations might be able to create something that really made a difference and helped, in particular, women tech entrepreneurs get investment ready.
Right.
I'm going to hand off to Jennifer or Sonya.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just, we weren't seeing, like at Capital Angel Network, we just weren't seeing as many women founders as we knew were out there. We knew that, 2% of the funding was going to women founders, and about 15% of the companies are women founded. So significant disparity between the percentage of funding they get versus the percentage of companies that they start. And, there were articles that, women founders are far more likely to bootstrap than male founders. And, looking into that, is that by choice or is that by necessity? And it turns out to be a certain amount by necessity.
Could you tell us a little bit about, for those who are not unfamiliar, about Capital Angel Network, just a smidget?
Yeah, sure. Capital Angel Network is an angel group in Ottawa. It's one of about 15 Ontario angel groups that are organized angel groups under the umbrella at the time with AIO and NACO, now primarily with NACO. It's got about 50 angels in the Ottawa region. I was the second woman to join the group. Julia was the third woman to join the group. So fairly reflective of the investment climate at the time. And then
group
to
of
get
50 members, though, just to give that idea too.
Yeah.
50.
Yeah.
50, yeah.
Yeah, so that 2% might exist on the other side of the table as well at the time. So we've done a number of initiatives over the years to increase the number of women investors. So the group is now about a third women.
That's great.
My goal would be to get it to 50-50. We're not quite there yet.
Mm-hmm.
And then working with Sonya around growing the ecosystem overall for women to make it more women friendly and to help women founders get access to the resources and grow their businesses.
It
Right.
really did build beautifully on the women founders and owners strategy that we had established a couple of years earlier. So, Invest Ottawa being the lead economic development agency offering venture development programming. I remember when I came in 2017, women didn't see themselves there. They didn't see themselves in the mentors and advisors and the clients. And it was a very big struggle. And so we made a decision that it would be part of our strategic plan. We established a subcommittee of our board, part of our governance structure. And then we set out and we built a strategy and an action set, and we track metrics every year. So SheBoot, the opportunity to collaborate with Jennifer and Julia on SheBoot, really built on those goals that we set and took it to a whole other level. It's been a privilege, and it's something that we're very committed. Even though it's national now, we really do strive to ensure at Invest Ottawa that there's a lot of great women founders that are applying, and of course that we're supporting those that are coming out of SheBoot that are from our region going forward.
And we knew right away there was a dual mandate that was necessary for SheBoot to be successful. One was to help more women tech founders get investment ready. But in order to do that, we also had to get more women investing.
Right.
They had to see themselves in the room when they were pitching, at least a little bit more at first. And you know, we need those women's voices, especially with femtech. That you know, it makes men uncomfortable, makes sometimes women uncomfortable, but talking about those kinds of things, and it just made it so much easier to have these conversations in investor rooms when there was a larger group of women there.
Yeah. So SheBoot is the combination of funding women tech startups by women investors. You know,
that's right. It's
right?
Women supporting women to help them fund, scale, grow their companies.
Well, I'm going to take it's investing, like supporting kind of supporting can sometimes feel a little bit like I'm kind of leaning on you, but investing has this other connotation, right?
Yeah.
So it's really like investing. So there are the two components, right? So there's a raising of the funds, so reaching out to women in the community who have the available funds and the willingness to invest. Let's walk through what that looks like, and then we can walk through what it looks like to pitch and get access to the funds.
Yeah, and I think I'll just go back to the women supporting women. So you're right, there's an investment component, but we also do coaching, advisory, and programming around it. So it is both. It's investing and supporting.
Right.
But we did feel that the investment component was critical. That in the end, you need money.
It's the blood that fuels the business, right? It's the gas in the car.
And we're quite unique in this as well. This is one of our secret sauce, is bringing those two things together.
And the focus on the funding. You know, what does it take to really get funding? So I think, you know, if you look back at February 2020, you know, we looked at each other and we started with 100,000 in funding. You know, we looked at each other. Can we find 10 women who can put in 10,000 each? And we picked 10,000. There are some women's investment groups around the country that have a 5,000. We picked 10. We think 10 was doable. You know, could we find 10 women? And we were able to find 10 women in the first year. So then, you know, let's go for 20. And it did, at the beginning, it took work. Like you had to meet. I mean, it still takes work, but, you know, it takes more than one meeting, you know, takes some persuasion. But as we got into it, women also recommended other women to come into it. And, you know, now we're at the point that we have a wait list of investors.
Oh, that's a nice feeling to actually have a wait list. Yeah. So is it still 10,000 is the and that's a minimum, or only 10,000 per person?
Only 10,000 per person for a total of 300,000 prize money, and we give away 150 for first prize, 100 for second prize, and 50 for third prize.
Okay, and what does that look like for the investor? Okay, so they've made that investment of 10,000. What do they get in return, other than the fact that they know that they've done good? But what do they get in for that investment?
literally each woman is investing 6,700 in the the largest prize. 1,000, no, what's the next one? 33.
33, yeah.
In the second prize, and then 1,500 for the third. I think that adds up. So it is. And when we talk about angel investing, we talk about making sure that you're investing over a number of different companies. So they achieve that initially as well too. And many of our investors have come back year after year. But we also have the value of getting new investors in, which means we keep growing the group of women that are involved, which we love as well too.
Yeah.
But they get the opportunity to watch this company grow and go through and wait it out, because it is a waiting game. We're expecting 5 to 7 years before you're starting to see a return of some sort on that investment. And we go through stages of converting from our note, which is a convertible note, into equity, which we did recently with one of our companies, and that's a wonderful stage to see them, get to a price round and prepare for more serious fundraising to scale their companies to the next level.
Yeah, and we use what's called a special purpose vehicle for the investment. So it's a partnership of the investors each year that are investing. So from the founder's perspective, it's one name on the cap table.
Okay.
But there are 30 partners in that SPV who are part of that investment.
Okay. And it's an incredible community. So when you think about what you get back, in addition to the long-term opportunity to generate that return, you get all the relationship building, all the opportunity to see the growth, not just with perhaps the one founder or the handful of founders you're investing in, but with cohorts year over year of incredible women founders that are doing amazing things. Our goal is to help every single founder that comes through our program get funding so that we can catalyze their growth and success. And I think every member of the community is a part of that success.
That's great.
And Sonya, you've seen it, the energy that we see the investors get when they get to know the founders and start to engage more. It's infectious. They bond almost immediately, and that energy is what brings the next investor along as well too, because they go on to tell others these stories about how amazing it is.
And we really need this, and we really need more of it in our community. So what does the recruiting drive look like when you start to recruit, or you've got a wait list, but I have a sense that there are sort of like pockets of windows where you're actively signing people up for the next cohort.
Yeah. So we're really constantly talking about the program. I think to raise awareness of it. The active recruiting period is the spring, both for the founders and the investors. And then we look to close on the founders and the investors in the early summer, so that we know well before we get to the start of the boot camp in September that we've locked and loaded our 30 investors, because we don't want to fall short on the investment prizes. And that the founders know and can get ready, because some of the things. So there is a pitch competition, but the investment is really decided on proper data room and due diligence. So we do want the founders working early on getting all their documents together for the data room and the due diligence process. We want the investors locked and loaded so that they're starting to look and get to know the companies, because we do take the investors through a full process.
Okay.
To make the decision.
So it's a really great opportunity for anyone who is really new to the idea of angel investing.
Yes.
So you really are providing that guidance on both sides of the
I call it practical education.
Yeah, and in the matchmaking process, really, right? Yeah. That's really
A lot
great.
of shared values, right? It's
Yeah.
founded on shared values and this
Mhm.
commitment to achieve the growth that we want to see and the change in the investment landscape, in the
Mhm.
entrepreneurship landscape. So there's a very big passion, and I see a
Yeah.
very big driver around the values that really propel everyone who's involved in SheBoot.
And women investors, I find, want the education,
Mhm.
and there is formal education you can get out there. I like what we're doing because it's really practical education.
Mhm.
It's having to make these decisions as a group. It's, talking through. We have newbie investors write investment memos because it's a certain format and you just got to work through and figure out the pros and cons, and it's we do it in pairs so that there's always somebody more experienced with a junior, but I mean it's fun to help along and let them think through the exercises we've thought through before too.
Right.
And it's interesting when we talk about some of the stuff, like one of the investors, like her opinion really changed on a company, because you might get really engaged in a pitch, there's something really cool, but it may not be a great investment.
Mhm.
Something else that might be a little bit of a drier business area may be a better investment in terms of exit opportunities, growth opportunities, market.
Mhm.
So that due diligence process, it's an important part of investing,
It's a
so that
crucial,
you're not
yeah,
just swayed
crucial
by
part.
whoever is the most
Mhm.
charismatic pitcher.
Well,
Yeah, it's easy to
and,
get persuaded by that. Yeah.
and we're trying to look for diversity even in those prize winners a little bit too, so that
Mhm.
they're not like three med tech companies either, right? We want to make sure that we're balancing our portfolios as investors, with different types of industries as well.
Mhm.
Okay, great. So let's pivot over to the businesses that are being funded, the startups that are being funded. We said it's tech oriented, but that's also sure that's one segment, but that's actually also pretty broad, right? So maybe at what stage we're talking about angel investing. So let's dig into that a little bit though. Like at what stage of the business are they coming to you for coming to SheBoot for funding?
Sonya, do you want to start that one? Yeah.
Early stage, needing to become investment ready. SheBoot is really all about helping women founders to bring that investment readiness lens to absolutely every part of the program. I think that's another big part of the differentiation. So when you think about how you structure your company, go to market, all of the pitching, everything is founded on that single goal: by women, for women. So early stage, no previous funding, and it's an opportunity for us to collectively as a community help to shape their journey and get them started on that path with that goal of having each of them receive the funding that they need to catalyze their growth and success.
So
Yeah.
they
Yeah,
could be
and
pre-revenue.
yes, and
They
it really, the metrics will vary by sector. Um, so, they might have grant money, they might have some friends and family money, but we're looking to help them with that first external stranger investment round.
right.
And by sector, the metrics will vary a bit. So if you're a software as a service business play, you probably need to be further along than if you are a life sciences drug company where you're getting your first investment, before you've got your trials done. So we do look at it by sector. It's more from a fundraising stage where you are, as opposed to, are you in market?
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
that's good. That's good clarification. Would you be like, are there a couple of interesting stories that
Yes.
you're willing to share? Because I think gone through some of the logistics and kind of technical pieces of how SheBoot works, but it's the stories and the impact that I'm even asking you. I'm feeling a little bit like I'm getting some goosebumps. Is there something really interesting about to happen here?
Well, I think that I mean, there's constantly, these companies are continuing to develop. I mean, I was talking to Karen from Scenario. They develop customer support software that helps companies like Air Canada actually, answer your call, and do it efficiently, which is huge. There were a lot of people behind her just from that fact. But
Yeah.
I mean, she was so excited because, she just hired her 5th employee. So she's still she's a 2023 grad, but and from SheBoot, and got funding within 6 months, $1 million kind of category on that funding, which is exactly what we wanted to see. It was so much fun to see her make those connections at the conference that we'll have here next week, SAS North, and then build on those. So, she's done another small round, but she continues to grow, and she just keeps getting those logos, those important customers that make her customer list even stronger each time. And we have another company called Ayrton Energy that it ended up raising $10 million afterwards. They are so unique. The 2 women engineers creating a hydrogen carrier, so you can bring hydrogen to your home. They basically allow you to safely store and transport hydrogen at room temperature and pressure using existing fuel structure, and essentially fuel the car, the hot tub, and all those things that are going to be and continue to be huge energy consumption at the home. And she's continued to grow, and with lots of support from the government as well. But we're very happy to see her success.
Fantastic.
I would say from an Ottawa perspective, because of course, I'm so excited. We got with founders. Alita Burke, the grocer. She was our 2021 pitch competition winner. I think I'm honestly one of the grocer's biggest fans. She and Courtney have done amazing things. Sea shipping containers with hydroponic technology inside that can enable the growth of fresh vegetables in temperatures as low as minus 50 degrees Celsius. So they're deploying them right across North America in very rugged terrain and in Indigenous communities and communities that normally could never afford the type of fresh produce that they are now able to grow. So it's an economic development driver for those communities, fresh, nutritious food at a lower price point in a way that's also sustainable. So why do I love this business so much? It's really a triple bottom line business. It's got incredible economic value, social value, and environmental value. And that's one of the things that we see that I think is one of the hallmarks of women-founded business. There's often a social impact. Julia talked about femtech and medtech, and just the example she's given. The grocer certainly falls into that category. They're continuing to scale. They've got some great big anchor customers. They've raised a wonderful, beautiful story. We're very proud, emerging from the University of Ottawa. We've been a part of their journey all the way through.
Yeah, and I think just to add a femtech one in to sort of round out the sectors, Fluttercare, which was one of our winners last year, out in BC, they're just getting ready to start their clinical trial. So this is a medtech device that fits around your stomach to measure the baby's movement to try and prevent stillbirths.
Oh, wow.
So really interesting research in terms of how to detect early warnings and intervene before you get to the point of a stillbirth. And she's just working with the Ottawa Hospital, an introduction that she got from being here through SheBoot. So she's got an introduction into the Ottawa Hospital, and they're getting ready to start a clinical trial there, which is pretty cool.
That's really fantastic, right? So how do these founders find SheBoot?
Lots of marketing, and I would say deep relationships now. As we've scaled nationally in 2022, we incorporated as a national nonprofit and started to build out not just partners, but also investors in different parts of the country. There is a beautiful network of different organizations that share the values, and we all approach it in different ways, with everyone striving to help more women founders grow, succeed, and contribute to our economy in all those important ways. And so I feel that the building of those relationships from coast to coast have meant that we can get inside communities in a much deeper way. Women founders are speaking to each other. There's a community that's growing across this country, and I feel that it's an opportunity for us to continue building that momentum. We partner with many other organizations. When some of those founders don't find a home in one of the other programs, SheBoot is there. They can apply to us. And similarly, we get so many applications, as Julia and Jennifer have mentioned. For those that we're not able to select, we look for referrals to bring them into their communities, into other organizations that can support them, so that our goal is that there's no woman founder left behind. But I feel that there's been a lot of visibility, a lot of momentum, and there's a lot of shared values across this country around this particular imperative.
That's great. And likewise for investors, there's a wait list, so you don't have to find them. But the reality is, you probably want to keep that wait list in place. You want to continuously have an influx. So, where are you finding those who want to join the wait list?
You'd be amazed how Ottawa focused that group is right now, and which warms my heart to see that many women in Ottawa wanting to do it. But I'd like to see more regional diversity. So, being able to make sure we have someone from Newfoundland and someone from Vancouver, at least, building into that. And we have had that for a period of time. But I just like to see more of that, so that we're really cross-country support for women. And SheBoot founders actually are 50% BIPOC or LGBTQ plus. And we would like to as well, and we're mindful of trying to build that diversity into our investor group as well too. And that's a little bit more difficult, but we have our eye on that as well. And there's room for improvement.
That's great.
Yeah, and I think one of the things we found with investors, it does take multiple meetings to activate a woman investor, and it does take more touch points than activating a male investor from our experience and from many of the other groups across Canada. And so, working on how we get those touch points, how we get those warm intros across the country. We're here in Ottawa, which does make it easier to have a coffee than if we're talking to someone on the West Coast.
That's right. Yeah.
It would be because our founders are across the country and diverse. We know, it really helps to have local champions in your corner when you're going to that next raise. So if we can build that cross-country network to support our founders going from their SheBoot experience to their first big angel round to their Series A, and having women around them to help them through that is what we're looking for.
Well, I do hope being on the podcast here is going to help that. Get that word out. While we don't get really granular information about where listeners are coming from, I do know I've got listeners, and now we're going to be on YouTube as well, across Canada. So hopefully that will help. And sorry, I cut you off, Sonya. So I'll let you go ahead, and then I have another question.
I was just going to say events like SAS North, which are coming up next week, where we really dovetail our final pitch competition and build on that momentum, and then being engaged with so many investors that come in from not just across Canada, but other areas as well, leading to potential referrals and customer linkages and opportunities for visibility. 2,000 people descend on Ottawa for SAS North, so it's a great opportunity to connect the current cohort, and previous alumni as well, in through all of that network. So it's quite powerful when you can capitalize on those moments.
So I was going to say, somebody listening, if they're listening in the audio format on the podcast, or if they're watching on YouTube, how do they get in touch with you? What is the method of contact?
info@sheboot.ca. Most of us read it and already, so info@sheboot.ca gets to a larger group.
We're all on LinkedIn too.
I was going to say LinkedIn.
Yeah, follow SheBoot on LinkedIn is another wonderful way too. Yeah. You get to see some great stories coming through of the founders as well.
That's excellent. Now, I like to wrap up my conversations asking my guests for one piece of fun, frank advice. So I'd like to go around this virtual space here and ask you for one piece of fun, frank advice for women founders seeking meaningful capital in the coming year, or some meaningful advice for perhaps a new angel investor. You can choose.
I'll kick off on from a founder standpoint. Start building your relationships with the next group of investors now. Find ways to network with them, look for those kind of opportunities, get introductions, and that will make a huge difference. And then keep them up to date, send them updates, build them 6 months before you need them.
I would say conduct a lot of research, make sure you know what type of investor and align the values with your business to ensure, just like any good relationship, that synergy needs to be there, that alignment of values. Be thoughtful and do that homework so that you can really be targeted and focused about the type of investor that you're really targeting.
Right.
And from an investor side, someone who's thinking about an investor, I think many women want to have impact with their money. And angel investing is just a great way to have impact. You can have impact in terms of the founders that you support. One of the things that Julia, Sonya, and I have talked about repeatedly is, how do you get more women executives in tech? And, one way to do that is you grow their companies. So there's CEO at the beginning and there's CEO at the end, and they're the ones getting the big exits. Because injecting
I love that.
So, investing is just a great way to have that impact, to invest in women, to promote women, to help women stay, grow in the C-suite from the beginning to the exit, and impact by sector. Women are more likely to found, not all of them, obviously, because women are diverse, but they're more likely to found an impact-oriented business in health, in climate. So if you've got an impact area and you want to support women, investing is just a fabulous way to do it.
54 million catalyzed, right? And follow-on funding. I mean, it's really, really special over a very narrow window of time. I'm not sure we mentioned that yet. And I think that just is a really beautiful dovetail across all of that guidance, right? When we take all of that information and put it to work, it really does lead to big change in the investment landscape and for those women founders.
Well, I wanted to come back to this $100 million companies run by women, because my goal is that these $100 million companies run by women actually figure out how to keep women in tech and how to grow women in tech. And because the companies haven't figured that out in Canada yet. We're still 25% women in tech jobs in Canada. And that is a lousy number considering where we want to take our economy right now. So having more women running $100 million companies means more women engaged in tech as well, to me.
And I will just say, I just came off of a call with a SheBoot alumni, Marlo. So it's 3 women tech founders from diverse backgrounds. Their staff is women. Half their advisors are women. The cap table has women. And they're going to do great things.
Well, I will be excited to perhaps in a little bit of time and space bring you back to the podcast to see where things are at and get a status update. But thank you so much for bringing the SheBoot story to the Cash Rich Exit podcast. And I'll see you around town.
Thank you, Colleen.
Great. Thanks, Colleen.
Bye-bye.
Self-Made Nation, solving the 2% problem, it's a multi-pronged approach. More women investing, which means more women-found startups funded, which multiplies real-world impact for founders and our economy. A huge thank you to the co-founders of SheBoot, Sonya Shorey, Julia Elvidge, and Jennifer Francis, for advancing that flywheel. If today's conversation sparked any ideas for your growth to exit path, connect with me on LinkedIn or send me an email. Book your private one-on-one wealth gap analysis to align capital timing and the valuation of your cash-rich exit. If you've enjoyed this episode or this video, please leave me a 5-star rating and review. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, and it'll help founders find the show. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. I'm looking forward to welcoming you back again soon. I'm Colleen O'Connell-Campbell, Wealth Advisor at RBC Dominion Securities. TTFN. Ta-ta for now.